Welcome to SchezzWho, your top spot for politics. We're at 140 subscribers now. I appreciate all your recent views, your shares, your recent subscriptions to helping us grow. And my role in bringing you good political content will require your role in consuming this product. So do me the favor, like this video, subscribe to this channel. That's very important. Comment on this video and share it around. Growing SchezzWho is the goal. Don't forget that. And now out to the shout outs who are all friends of the show, including the Dissent Agenda. Let's get that. That's on the screen right now. That is a brand new podcast in the Hampton Roads area, and it's running through the StreamYard account with which I am using this very show. So I want you guys to definitely follow the Dissent Agenda. Subscribe to that as well, hosted by Melissa Lucasen and Cody Connor. Also, Mr. Farley Perkins at the Farley Perkins Agency can help you out with insurance needs in Hampton Roads. So look him up right there, contact information. He can help you out. Also, if you need some good food in either Virginia Beach across from Regent University or in Portsmouth on Portsmouth Boulevard near Victory, it's Ellen's Homestyle and Barbecue Express. Great place for Southern-based food. And to top it off with some good sweet treats, then I would suggest heading over to ELG Sweet Boutique. Also a Portsmouth staple. Look that up for some great ice cream and shakes, stuff like that. Good friend of mine, Mr. Seiko Varner, runs Positive Vibes Incorporated. He can help you with some money needs, credit fixes, tax resolutions, stuff like that. He's also a great DJ, so hit him up if you need a DJ for your event. And he also created the application, the Hampton Roads Green Book, to help you find Black-owned businesses in Hampton Roads. And last but certainly not least, in fact, most important, support the Black Swan podcast, The Mindset Chronicles. It's a great place to find some great expansion of your mind on a myriad of topics. Hit up Spotify to find Black Swan Mindset and the podcast run by Andrea Schesventer, my lovely, awesome wife. Definitely look that up. So now we're about to have a show tonight where we just simply chop it up about a little bit of politics. It's been a while since I've been able to generally chat about politics. I'd like to do that tonight. I want to bring on a good friend who knows his way around some various topics as well. Mr. Arrington Gavin is an award-winning entrepreneur. He's also a podcaster. He's a talk radio host whose voice and vision continues to shape conversations across multiple medias. He's the creator and host of the award-winning Arrington Gavin Show, which I was just on, a dynamic weeknight program where strong opinions, real talk, and independent thinking take center stage. From politics and pulp culture to sports and everyday issues, Arrington delivers a unique blend of unfiltered honesty, sharp insight, humor, and heart, and his show has quickly become a destination for those who value fresh perspectives, fearless dialogue, and thought-out conversations. So known for such unapologetic, opinionated style, Arrington has built a reputation as a bold, authentic voice, not afraid to challenge conventional narratives. Fun, informative, and always real, his work inspires listeners to think freely, speak boldly, and embrace the truth, even when it's uncomfortable. So I will bring him on right about now. Assuming I admit, Mr. Arrington, as you come on the show right now, that the show is, to me, it feels like it's delaying by half a second. So just bear with me if it seems like a pause or anything like that. But
no, you're fine.
How are you tonight, sir?
Man, Conrad, it's always great to be talking with you, my friend. It's great to be back on SchezzWho. Am a fan, a supporter. I've seen nothing but growth with your program. So, man, I'm doing great. I can't speak the same for our country. It's a lot happening as we speak.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, currently it's stuff happening every second.
I hear you on the show. Chatted up with you again, being surrounded by these little kittens. One of them is crawling on my foot as we speak. So hopefully I don't yelp because I'm bitten or something like that. So a breather. Let's go into the very, because all of us saw an outright political assassination yesterday in a very public and very graphic way. So I got to ask, How moving was that to you on a mental level?
Oh man, I mean, honestly, it made me sick to my stomach. It made me sick to my stomach. Um, Charlie Kirk is a man I absolutely do not agree with, but I've always said, I don't wish harm on my worst enemy. He has the right of freedom of speech. If you like it or love it, that doesn't mean you have to respond with political violence. Um, what we witnessed was it was just it was extremely sad. I mean, he was doing what he regularly does, and that's he tours around different universities, debating, having open forum and open debates, and so all of a sudden you see a crowd of folks. I can't speak on if I think majority of them were his supporters. There were some that were not. I was reading some information on his way to coming onto that university. There were, I believe, there was 3,000 students in attendance, but prior to that there were like at least 1,000 signatures that wanted did not want him to appear. So again, you look at the large number of supporters compared to those that did not want him. So yeah, he was doing what he regularly does, what he's known for, and the man lost his life in front of thousands of students. And again, I am not a Charlie Kirk fan. I've actually done I did a bonus episode, audio only, on my program the day of, and I just I was venting, man. I'm tired of the political violence between just in general. There should be no part for folks to lose their life on their beliefs. So as far as on the mental state, man, I mean, it's a sad time. It's an extremely sad time. Oh, hold on, I can't hear you.
I muted myself. It's quite ironic, because if he got a lot more of those signatures that would have prohibited him from speaking at Utah Valley State,
Yeah.
him being canceled in that instance might have saved his life. And that's just a weird thing to try to process in a moment like that, because his thing is to be the guy who is that strong conservative going from place to place,
Mhm.
who would rally against the concept of being forbidden from doing that because students didn't like it. But if it actually happened, he'd be alive today. That's just an
Well,
interesting thing to think about.
well, it's a couple points I want to add to that. So first, just kind of going back to that horrific incident, I believe the police chief there had spoken. They had 6 officers working in a function that had 3,000 people. So let's just put that in perspective. For one, you have 3,000 people in attendance, and I mean, again, they could not predict the crowd size. Honestly, it was open event, so anybody and everybody could show up
Mhm.
to it. So he had 6 officers. There were 6 officers. To my knowledge, I think the police chief had said that some were dressed in non uniform. So maybe they had more than 6, but they're speaking on just the 6 officers. For a crowd of 3,000. Now, Charlie Kirk did have his own security detail, which he traveled with on a regular. But again, that's just something to put in perspective. Now, I also wanted to share that Charlie Kirk gained a career off of doing what he was doing, and that is he was this guy started at 18 years old. He was just 31 years old.
Mhm.
Like, he was our generation's Rush Limbaugh. He was extremely influential in the conservative side media, as well as just doing something that a lot of that really the party struggled doing, and that's gravitating to young people. He built Turning Point USA. That made him a household name. I mean, he was very what's the word I'm looking for? He was very he had a big role in this recent presidential election because, again, keeping that young vote going, you had Trump winning young conservative voters, and continue to build that
Mhm.
audience up each and every year. And then lastly, I want to mention too what he did. Again, set aside from your beliefs, or how you felt about the guy, he went where politicians need to go on a regular. Universities, right? I mean, you have the age demographic from 18 to 22 years old. You know, universities is where folks continue to build that knowledge and really say, okay, so it's just it's a lot. It's a lot to gravitate. I mean, again, it makes me sick to my stomach. I speak with folks from all sides of the aisle, and you know me how I feel about you know, just the right and the left. So I find myself you know, in the middle of most things, but I've always respected folks' opinions. I mean, that's the, you know, that's how I've always been in life, is, hey, respect other folks' opinion. You're entitled to your own opinion, and respect the First Amendment too. I think though freedom of speech is important, but I don't know, maybe it needs to be somewhat fixed up, because you look at hate speech, and I'm pretty sure we're probably going to be leading into that, but you know, what Charlie Kirk was known for, in my opinion, was a lot of, you know, stuff that really just was not cool at all.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to follow up with is, in so much that Charlie Kirk being assassinated is, as of the moment, I don't have knowledge of who the shooter is. And weirdly, I've heard some Fox News reports suggest that there might even be some foreign intelligence involved. And I don't know if that is to help us find who it was, or it could have been someone who is an intelligence person. I can't speculate on that. Is it notable to say that he's a figure that nonetheless created controversy and incendiary thought as well?
Oh, I mean, you're spot on with that. I mean, when you look at, and I actually, let me see if I took some notes on it, just by acknowledging some of just his, you know, most controversial things. Now, first I want to bring up, let's see here, denial of white privilege and systematic racism. So he called the concept of white privilege a myth and a racist idea, arguing that such beliefs themselves are divisive. He said he attacked Dr. King's legacy, calling him flawed and not a good person, suggesting that the Civil Rights Act led to permanent DEI type bureaucracy. In January of 2024, he made a remark suggesting that if I see a black pilot, I'm going to be like, boy, I hope he's qualified, indicating his distrust in diversity, equity, and inclusion. Let's see here. He posted saying the great replacement is not a theory, it's reality. Okay. That's just a small handful of things he said, which the outlets have been continuing to repeat this in 2023 after a school shooting. He remarked that gun deaths are unfortunate but acceptable cause of preserving the Second Amendment, drawing widespread backlash. So now, those are just some of the small things. Again, that's just I just gave you a teensy weeny bit of info that he's shared throughout his career, and I add that you know, you're spot on with it, because, and I forget who I was talking with, but public figures outside of, whether they're in politics or outside of politics, they have to realize that their words can cause things. Depending, you know, whatever they say, they have to be mindful of what they spew out. And that's why, me personally, I've always been a critic of President Trump, because since he's been in office, in my opinion, he's never had anything positive to say. So when I hear folks say that he's a person that is on the opposite side of division, I think that's BS, in my opinion. So going back to Charlie Kirk, if you make a career off of just purity, this, like, I'm not sensing, you know, your empathy, right? For one, he says he doesn't even like the word empathy. That's his words. He said that too. And so you have to be aware that your words can, it can lead to certain things. Like, words hate speeches, you name it, it can cause so much stuff. Whether you have a room of 500 people and 499 agree with you, there might just be that one person that it just is not going to. I mean, mental health is a big thing, and I know they bring that out too. And I have stuff, in regards to, when that conversation or when that discussion comes up, but they just really, really need to be, and I know he was aware of the fact that, hey, what he says not everybody agrees with. That's why he had a security detail to begin with. That's why a lot of public figures, have security details. It's whether if they don't like what they do or if they, have stalker. I mean, everybody always has protection regardless. But you have guys like Ben Shapiro. He's canceling some of his functions. Now, me personally, I look at Charlie Kirk a little bit more, and again, this man just lost his life, so I don't want to feel like I'm just continue to bash Charlie Kirk. My thoughts and prayers go out to his family. He's 31 years old, just a year older than me, had a wife, 2 young kids. At the end of the day, an innocent life was taken, but I'm going based on the topic and the question you added as far as the words that he was known for, the controversy that he was known for spreading. Did that, cause or, have any harm or something to do with this shooting?
And yeah, I can't immediately say that anything that he has actually said has caused that shooter to think anything, because we don't know as of 8:49 on September 11th. And that's another thing. September 11th, it's the 24th anniversary of that. Another example of political violence. Here we're talking about political violence yet again. I'm not yet knowledgeable as to from which direction the violence is coming from toward Charlie Kirk, but we noticed that he was talking at the time. He was fielding questions from the crowd, and the discussion was about mass shootings, and then it was about trans shooters, and then it was about the concept of how many mass shootings there have been over 10 years, and then he would pivot a little bit to something to make you, as someone like myself, a little bit anti-gun, try to deflect, because he wants you to think negatively about what he brought up, which was gang violence, fraction of a second before the shot was taken. He knows what he does. This is why he's out there. He wants to engage because these are his thoughts. I think he kind of revels in some way to be provocative.
Absolutely.
I recall I saw a video where the topic at the time was the attack on Nancy and Paul Pelosi.
Yes.
And specifically, Paul Pelosi got significantly injured in that. And at the time, the dogma was the rhetoric is so heated in the country that Republicans, then maybe they got to dial it back a little bit. You think of Trump first when it comes to that, then people like Charlie Kirk. And he was on record on video saying that he rejects the idea that all Republicans are there at fault. And then I become concerned because that's not what I'm observing right now, because it seems like a lot of Republicans seem energized to be very anti-Democrat. And we don't even, again, 8:51 p.m., even know that person is a legit Democrat.
Well, I'm glad, I'm glad you bring that up, because the first thing that I shared on, because I did a recording on my show and talked more. I literally had the whole episode about the assassination, political violence, and individuals pointing fingers, right? And so there has been, and I can't speak for all folks on Congress, but there was one individual on Congress that publicly started to personally attack the left, and that was Nancy Mace out of South Carolina. Now, look, I get it. Everybody's riled up, for those who were, supporters of Charlie Kirk, for those who might have been friends. But again, there's no place to start blaming the blame game. She said this is on the Democrats' hands right there. This is what they caused. And what's hilarious is that a reporter responded. Then the killing of the husband and wife in Minnesota, I believe the lady was a former House or current House Speaker in Minnesota. They lost their life. So is that on the Republicans' hands? And she just says, "Oh, come on, we're talking about this. Really? Are you kidding me?" And see, that's the issue. She was one of the elected officials that started pointing fingers. And the sad thing is, at a time like this, wouldn't you want a leader that leads this country to be more on the unified side? No, we didn't get that out of Trump. Trump, he said radical left. At the end of the day, he could have just said radicals. He could have just said we have to, come after whoever did this. This is no place for political violence. No, instead he already directs it to one side of the aisle. Then you go on, of course, to your conservative media. You had Jesse Waters saying they're coming after us. He said that on the 5. You had Sean Hannity said for the last 10 years, nonstop raids comes from the left. So when I heard that, I said, okay, wait a minute. This is how I'm going to start my show right here. And here's how I started, Conrad. I said, let me pull it up. Okay. I said July 13th of 2024, an attempted assassination on Donald Trump at a rally in Pennsylvania. We all witnessed that, grays in the ear. Then, okay, April 13th, 2025, arson attack in Pennsylvania at the governor's mansion. I don't know if you remember that. Heavy damage intended to assassinate Governor Josh Shapiro, a Democrat. Okay, so now we're even. We have June 14th, 2025. There was a shooting spree that had occurred where former Speaker Melissa Hortman and her husband were killed. Again, that was in Minneapolis. That was in Minnesota, and they were Democrats. Then we go to obviously, Charlie Kirk, and then we also go. This happened in late 2024 in November. Edward Kelly, who was involved in the January 6th, created a kill list targeting investigators and convicted for the conspiracy theory. So we have a mixture of attacks going on all sides. So to say in the past 10 years, and to my knowledge, January 6th has not, the J6 insurrection is not 10 years old. That happened within that. So what side did that come from? So again, it blows my mind when they start pointing fingers. And you're right, they don't know who the hell is the suspect. They had 2 suspects in custody. They released them. They released them. So no one knows anything. And I don't see how they think they're helping the case by calling out an individual side before. And I mean, shame on the president, because you should listen to your FBI director and those that work in law enforcement to say, okay, wait a minute, this is under investigation. You can't talk, you can't share anything because we don't have any proof. And one other thing, Conrad, and I know I'm ranting off, but one other thing I want to mention too, this happened today. There were at least 5 HBCUs that had faced threats where they had to cancel school. They were under lockdown, and I think that exceeded to different other HBCUs, basically because they're saying, okay, if this happened to 5 of them, then we got to take protocol, because we had 2 Virginia schools. We had Virginia State and Hampton University. You also had Bethune-Cookman.
Spelman was one of them too, if I recall.
Yep, Spelman, Bethune-Cookman. Norfolk State put out a statement, so I believe they took the same protocol. And the reason why I brought that up is because this is on social media and public information. There's former January 6th, those who have been pardoned, is saying, you liberals, it's on now. It's on now. So now you're having these threats, verbal threats being spewed out. And why all of a sudden the day after they're going after HBCUs? Is it because most of the HBCUs usually lean a little more left when it comes to candidates, or I don't, are folks just doing that just because they're saying we got to make a statement, they got to feel our pain, and we're going to like what is happening?
I also it's glaring because we could point to how many incendiary comments Charlie Kirk has had towards the Black community over the years.
Oh yeah,
but it's a little on the nose that the exact day after his assassination is when the HBCUs are the ones that face 5 of them threats that cause them to close down, if temporarily. And I'm of the conclusion that by the time that those threats were done, we had already heard the description of the shooter, seen some video stills, And like, what exactly does the black community have to do with the fact that this is effectively white on white violence? And it doesn't mesh with the logic here.
Well, you know what, Conrad, nothing is ever going to mesh when you know,
Yeah.
the way the political climate has been, in my opinion, in the last, I mean, you could say 10 years or the last few elections, nothing ever meshes because there's so many individuals. There's a number of elected officials now that they, like you mentioned earlier, they know what they're doing to their, you know, to their base. They know that their base is somewhat of a cult following. When you have folks like a Nancy Mace, like a Marjorie Taylor Greene, at the time, a Matt Gaetz, I mean, those extremists, in my opinion, those extreme far right politicians, you see that again. Your words can cause havoc for those that are just really unaware, because they start getting brainwashed. Folks get brainwashed and they start believe here. And someone brought this up too. I heard this in a conversation earlier today. We don't know. Again, we're still questioning. We don't know who the suspect is. This suspect could be, you know, just put it in scenario. Somebody could be somebody that's just on opposing views of Charlie Kirk, whether if it's on, you know, it might be on the a left-leaning individual that just is so opposed of him, they took matters in their own hands. Or if you don't recall, Charlie Kirk was one of the individuals that supported or defended Trump for the way he's, you know, his responses now to this Epstein list, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because at the time there were you know, they kind of rallied up the troops or rallied up the crowd on that on those allegations and saying, okay, this really what happened, this would happen. And then all of a sudden when they get with the information that they have, so how do we? And there was a video, I think, at Turning Point USA, by show of hands, who wants to see the list? The whole crowd showed. The whole crowd raised their hand. Mm-hmm. Charlie had, being that he's in charge, you know, that's his, he had to basically, okay, let's bring it down because we're here to support, we're here to make, you know, the president look good. So folks were saying, was it somebody that just did not like the response? I mean, they're just bringing up ideas. Those are just a couple of ideas that or scenarios or something you could say that folks had brought up. But I mean, we just don't know. I think for me the big question will be is where does it go from here, in a sense? Like where does do folks like a Ben Shapiro, like a Candace Owens, right? Steve Bannon, you name them. Are they, the Alex Jones, are they going to be more in private settings? Are they ever going to go out publicly? And that goes for folks on the left. I mean, we have very influential left-leaning influencers and talkers that, hey, they need security because what they say might upset other folks on the opposing side doesn't see eye to eye on. So I mean, like, where does it go from now?
And it's important because he is a political figure. It is a literal assassination. He was significant and an influential voice. And one would like to think that this should not be politicized. But
it should not.
It is important to know that wouldn't necessarily be a position he would take. And we have a recent example. You have heard of the lady in Charlotte who was the Ukrainian immigrant who was stabbed to death on their light rail train.
That was disgusting. That was another extremely sad incident.
That's it. I see that probably, to my limited knowledge, is not political violence. It's just straight up violence.
It's just straight up violence. You're absolutely right. It's straight up violence.
But Charlie Kirk tweeted that specifically that if we want things to change, then 100% it's necessary to politicize the senseless murder of Irina Zarutska, because it was politics that, again, in Charlie Kirk's words, allowed a savage monster with 14 priors to be free on the streets to kill her. It's fair to politicize the murder of Charlie Kirk in the very same vein as he likes to politicize deaths. Or is it not fair? I don't know, because I think maybe he crossed the line and we could show an example that we shouldn't cross the line in shooting deaths or stabbing deaths or something like that. So again, he would be the type of person who would politicize this, especially if he didn't want, say, me to politicize a school shooting, which, again, ironically, there was one that happened as he was shot.
Minutes. Yeah.
So the world is politics, and because the world is politics, things like this are going to be politicized. So I think we and I just and you have to be mindful to try to do the right way.
Oh,
To be
absolutely.
and do our best to do that. And as we say, shift, because we mentioned Trump a couple times,
Hmm.
and Trump on this topic, he even ordered flags at half staff for the shooting death of Charlie Kirk. He also did that for the Minneapolis church shooting.
Yeah.
He also did that for the Parkland shooting, the Sutherland Springs shooting, and the Vegas shooting. A lot of shootings. It's worth noting he was famously upset that they were ordered down when Jimmy Carter died.
Hmm.
He didn't order them down when the Minnesota Democrat lawmakers, touched on earlier, were shot dead as part of a Democrat targeted spree.
Yeah.
So, of course, even Trump refused to call Governor Walz, called him a crazy guy, and it would be a waste of his time. So, my next question, in terms of politicizing stuff, do you feel the president is noticeably a little too partisan in how he treats shootings?
Hmm. That's a good question. To answer it, I would. It's difficult. I want to say I want to lean to yes, only because again I made an example earlier of when mentioned about the passing of Charlie Kirk and said radical left, because again right there, that's a perfect example of making it partisan. Um, I I I I think the president continues to do what's best for the brand. And the brand is to make his base happy, to make his base always feel that they can trust him, and to also make sure that he is doing what they are thinking. And so if he would have showed any sign of empathy or, unity, this and the other, folks would be furious. His primary base would be most likely furious. Now, I'm not saying that's for all folks that voted for Trump, because there's a lot of Republicans, in my opinion, that had positive, like the response that I wanted to see. Yes, Charlie Kirk was a Republican, but at the end of the day, if you heard the speech from the Utah governor, who's a Republican, he had a spot on speech, to me, better than the speech that I heard from the president. If you have oh man, there was countless of individuals that was that were in the conservative media and that were Republican lawmakers that said, okay, look, at this point now we have got to do something to unify. And it's a rare occasion, but to your point, he's going to do anything. He's going to do everything that is good for the brand. And if that means, be partisan, if that makes the brand look good, then that makes the brand look good. It's unfortunate, but you bring on some great examples. So it's, yeah.
Here is what I'm worried about, because people like Kirk also helped create the brand.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There are many other people who help lift that brand. Of course, he's the best at it, but there's also the brand and how it relates to his actions as president. And we got to weigh him as politically minded people, what he does as president beyond just that of a brand. And it comes back to the partisanness. And so I'm going to shift a bit to Trump's actions as president just in recent weeks. He's glorifying using the military in D.C. He's glorifying using ICE on immigrants, some of them who have even been citizens. He even posted about how Chicago is going to see why they, quote, call it the Department of War, which he just changed to Defense to Department of War. He was in an AI photo on that post with a lot of military imagery, as if he's leading it. He's supporting the cleansing of Gaza of Palestinians. His spokeswoman said the president wants to occupy specifically Democrat-run cities, and he just blew up a boat off the coast of Venezuela, killing 11, in a move that, if this world was just a touch more sane, I think, would have had him impeached already, as if he needed a third impeachment. Is it odd to see so much political violence from a side of the aisle which today is decrying political violence?
I think it's, well, for one, let's just be honest. Trump is not your typical politician. He's not. And so to say is it odd? It's extremely, how can I put it? Everybody sees what he's doing. We're seeing exactly what he's doing. Now, when it comes to the ICE agents, I mean, that's extremely sad, because you're right. They're folks who, wait a minute, I'm a citizen. What are you doing? Like, it's careless acts. It's extremely careless acts. And that's what comes when you have unqualified people in these higher senior roles in this administration. You have chaos that occurs. To say, and coming out of his spokesperson's mouth, which I'll give her credit, she's been taking the most heat because she's over here facing the press. But here's the thing, he even changed the press. He literally put majority of conservative and far right leaning outlets, podcasters, as his media. So he's making it easy when it comes to the response, and so it makes him look good. Everything he does, I don't see it benefiting citizens or benefiting this country. To say he's specifically directing or targeting blue-led cities, I mean, let's be honest. All metropolitan cities, regardless if they're red or blue, they're gonna have certain, crime. Crime. I mean, crime is never going away. Sorry to break it to you, y'all. Crime is never going away. Metropolitan cities primarily will always have more crime. You have most activities, and this is not my words. I know, I'm very close with folks that work in law enforcement, that work in metropolitan cities. This comes from from their words. My thing is, you have law enforcement, you have police departments for a reason, right?
Yep.
Look, I'm all for safety protocols regardless. If a disturbed incident happens, yes, if you have to bring military soldiers, the January 6th riot, they had to bring folks in the military, like, hey, look, we need more backup. I get that, but to just have them patrolling the city, this and the other, I mean, did they ever catch anybody? I mean, they arrested a dude for throwing a sandwich, which was dumb on his behalf,
and released him
and was charging him for assault. But again, how can you charge him for assault but pardon over 1,500 folks who literally broke into a government building?
And
it doesn't make sense.
We could wrap Kirk back into that too, because he's spoken on January 6th a lot. He's also spoken on George Floyd protests a lot. What positions did he take on those? He was saying that George Floyd had what happened to him coming, calling him a scumbag, and that the protests were an overreaction to something like that, while later then saying the next year that the January 6th rioters did not have what happened to them coming. And I wonder if this is also something Trump might think. It seems like the way the Republican mindset is it's very big into detaching what is local law enforcement into a national version of it. I saw it on a commentary as I was studying more of some Virginia Republicans who are making comments these days. One of the best ones to follow in terms of just pure rhetoric is former Delegate Nick Freitas, who made a comment like, if Democrats were so worried about the military coming into their cities, perhaps they should try this thing called enforcing the law. And I'm like, okay, I know what you're trying to do, but that's what the cops do. That's what we already created the system to enforce the law. Yeah.
And my thing, okay, and my question would be like, so are you asking folks to take matters into their own hand and avoid the police officers, those that are here to serve and protect? Like, I mean, what's the deal here? That's what frustrates me, and that's personally why, I'm for protecting your household. Don't get me wrong. I come from a family that has weapons around. I'm always the individual where I don't understand why the culture is so gun happy. Now, my thing is, I know folks that have over like 20 guns. I always, I asked the question, why do you need so many? I didn't
much.
say, I didn't ask if it's, I didn't ask like, if it's your right or not. It's your right to have, but I'm just asking, why so many? Have you ever in your whole life or career been in a, in a form? I'm just always prepared. Like, okay, but prepare for, like, when you start having that mindset, and I'm a man of faith. I'm not a, Bible thumper. Don't have me quoting scripture, but I'm a man of faith. And I'm like this. I'm big on positive vibes too. You keep a positive vibe mentality, good things will happen. You keep having this, anxious or scared mentality, well, moments might occur. Stuff will happen. You know what I mean? So it's just it doesn't make sense in my opinion. And I'm going back to the question, is it a bit odd to what's odd for me is that you have a majority of Republican officials that do not agree with with Trump, and that's what a lot of people don't share. They bend the knee. They do what's good for the brand and the party. I go back to use that word, the brand. They do what's good for the brand. If anyone says anything of the opposite, then they're gonna, they're most likely not gonna have a repeat. They're not gonna be able to hold their seat. I mean, we look at the gentleman out of Kentucky, Kentucky? He was one of the only solo Republican officials who sided with the Democrats. I think Ro Khanna in finding this, Epstein list. He's doing something that is a big no-no to Trump.
Thomas Massey, right?
Thomas Massey. So I guarantee you, once elections come, will Thomas Massey be there come next year? We don't know. I mean, it's just we need folks to realize that you're here to serve the people and not a superior. You're here to serve the people. Your superior should be the people. You're here to serve. You're servants of the people. Like, I don't get it. Personal gain.
How much do you remember of, I think, the day after the Trump assassination attempt, the first time, in Butler, Pennsylvania? We did a show reacting to that as well, and we were commenting about how we think this is so significant that the momentum has changed, and it's entirely like a foregone conclusion that the election is now going to be Trump's. Did we see that with Charlie Kirk being killed? Is that going to change anything that you see right now, say in Virginia politics? Because we have an important election now.
I've been thinking that. I've been wrestling with that, in all honesty. I do think that Charlie Kirk's name will be spoken a lot in upcoming races at events. Do I think that will help with voting numbers? That's hard to pick, because I go back. So we're talking about Virginia. Let's just stay on Virginia. In our governor's race, there was an event where current Lieutenant Governor Winston Merle Sears, who's a Republican candidate for governor, and there was a sign basically saying, this is a non like whites only water fountain kind of thing. I'm trying to phrase it, but that's how it was kind of shared. And so after that was publicly shared, she received $500,000 to her campaign from a very wealthy, very known registered Republican who was siding with, like, oh my goodness, like that's not right. So that sincerity benefited. And on top of that, we look at recent poll numbers where it's actually getting kind of tight. It's 46, I believe 46-40, with her having 40%, which from the beginning has been a larger lead, or a larger lead to, for Abigail Spanberger, who's a Democratic nominee. And so moments like that, when it's personally on the candidate, yeah, that helps. Now, for Trump, did that shooting help his campaign? I don't think the shooting per se. Well, yeah, it might have added a little bit, but primarily the picture, right? The picture of him holding the fist with the blood, like that right there, was spot on. It was spot on. So
it was like the cover of a book.
It was. It's the cover on a bunch of books probably now.
By now, yeah.
Yeah, people have added it on their bodies and stuff. now for Kirk again, I would say they're going to be folks that are going to be using his name a lot during their campaign. In my opinion, I think they're going to use his name a lot during their campaign trails. Now, do we see an uproar of young conservatives that were Charlie Kirk fans going to be saying we're siding with the right? This is what Kirk would want in honor of him. We got to really rally up. We could see a shift. We could see a shift like that, but I think folks also continue to, like we're doing now,
Mhm.
share exactly what made Kirk successful. And if you put him as an actual candidate, will that be something? Would that be something you would want? Would that be someone you would want in office? I mean, that's just the main question. Charlie Kirk was great what he did, but would we have ever, if this never had existed, would we ever witness him running for office?
Maybe. I think that because, yeah. But then again, if he consistently got a lot of money to do what he was doing, and he was getting a lot of money to do what he was doing, I think he'd probably just stay in the lane. He could cause just as much influence as probably more than some congressmen combined,
Mm-hmm.
and just get the money and also do politics more of a hobby. Maybe he could have, but I think he would have been just as happy to stay
Yeah.
in the role that he was doing. And damn, he was 31, so
Yeah.
it's still a very young guy.
And I agree with you. I will also throw into, hey, Dan Bongino is an assistant FBI director. Dan
He was a
Bongino makes millions
podcaster
off
too.
of.
Yeah.
I mean, just saying. You would never know. But I totally,
No,
I
no
agree.
word yet on whether Dan Bongino, and being so high in such an important role in people like Cash Patel, and firing the Salt Lake area FBI lead,
Mm-hmm.
is causing some of the significant. Why isn't there more information about the shooter type situation? But
Mm-hmm.
maybe don't put too many podcasters in high level government positions, or maybe they
Too,
are just as capable as anyone else.
too late. I mean, you look at the space that we are in. I mean, folks look at us as their primary news source, which I say I will always repeat myself on my own show. Please take my stuff with a grain of salt. Do not listen to take my stuff. I mean, because I
Hey, I
share.
phrase it as top space for politics, not top space for news. So,
I'm always saying, hey, look, I'm giving you my honest opinion, the same opinion that you will get in conversations amongst friends and family. But do not say, okay, because Conrad said this or because Aaron said, do not do that. And I think that's how folks should look at podcasters. Now, yeah, you got some experienced journalists, because we see a lot of transitions of people from the corporate medias moving into more digital and independent spaces. So some of them are more reliable, but at the end of the day, hey, we have Dan Bongino working in office. We have Janine Shapiro working off Cash Patel. I mean, there is a number
over
of folks.
19 people from Fox have been named.
Pete Head,
Yeah.
yes, Sean. The list goes on and on with folks that are in there, and it's again, it's just it's the world. It's the world we live in. It's the world we live in.
It's
Yeah.
fun to be a part of it, isn't it?
Oh, always, of course, of course.
I'm curious because I want to get about two more topics before we head out tonight. You're a Chesapeake resident. I'm a Portsmouth resident. I'm from Virginia Beach.
Mhm.
Now, as someone who knows about the at-large system that Chesapeake has, and you also know pretty well about the district system that Virginia Beach is trying to keep because they have a ballot referendum this November. What would be thoughts that you would discuss if someone didn't know much about either at-large or districts? How would you bring it up to them and sell them on one particular side or the other?
So when you have one side that has at large, like I'm at large. You mentioned Portsmouth is at large. There's only, I believe, 3 cities out of the 7 cities of Hampton Roads that's at large. At large, in my opinion, is it looks good on behalf of those that are in leadership. It's a safe space for them to maintain seats, because at large means that they cover every individual within the city. Look, it helps them look, it helps them look good. It gives less work to the mayor, because the mayor, as well as additional folks on council, is at large. You have folks that are in somewhat of the district system or ward system, which is more beneficial, where residents feel like, okay, we actually have the power now, because we can primarily go towards our elected official who represents us. If he does good, or if she does good, we're going to continue to vote them to stay in. If they do bad, then we're going to vote them out. The ball is in our field now. We have the power at this point. At large, there's folks that can say, okay, look, I'm gonna always advertise, and well, I use the word advertising because when it comes to campaign season, when I'm always campaigning, advertising, because you know I'm a business owner, so I always have that terminology all the time. If I'm campaigning, I'm only going to campaign one half, because I know this one half has the largest, they vote the most. This other half, they really don't vote, so why waste my time putting effort to this side? But we notice where, okay, now you have a community that feels overlooked. We see areas that are not taken care of when it comes to city facilities, rec facilities, schools, you name it. And why isn't all the attention being brought to one side? Oh, because they might have the money. So I use my own city as example. We were fighting for somewhat of a district or a ward system, single member voting system. Because if I'm in person in council, Conrad, I'm an advocate of working smarter, not harder. So we have, I believe, over 250,000 folks that live in the city of Chesapeake. Chesapeake is the second largest city population-wise in the state of Virginia. For me, is it easier to take care of 250,000 plus people's problems, or maybe 35,000, 32,000? I'm gonna go on a smaller number, because guess what? I can get to know exactly everybody here. I can, you can always come to me if there's an issue, if you know who to call. Like if it's at large, and I'm like, okay, I'm calling this council member, we'll put it towards this council member, or put it towards, because they're at large, put it towards, and it gets overlooked. And that's what we see in Chesapeake. We see one side that's always catered to, that is mostly where the money is at. It's mostly where the one side of the aisle votes on, and they want to keep stuff on that area. Now, if you go to the more underprivileged communities, you're gonna get nothing but food deserts. You're gonna get projects that can pollute the air of urban and historic and low income areas. I mean, it's disgusting. So for Virginia Beach is in the news because they have this whole back and forth between the 731, which they consider a modified system, and then their current 10-1. So 10-1, you have 11 folks on council, including the mayor. You have 10 council members representing their specific district, and then you have one at-large mayor. So when it comes to voting, those folks from those districts just vote for one council member, one city mayor. I think that's pretty easy. Now, the modified will have you do it for 7. You will vote for one council member. So you will vote for 2 council members, and I think one mayor, if I have that correct, or would it be
one council member, 3 at large, 1 mayor. So
okay,
5 total people.
5 total people. And the way that the 731 folks are promoting it is, don't you want to have the right to vote for you have more of a right. What they're doing, they're taking away your voting rights. I'm like, well, wait a minute. If those folks don't live in that area, now don't get me wrong, if I want all of Virginia, all of Chesapeake to look great. I want all of Chesapeake to to do good and stuff. So of course, I'm not gonna say like I just care about my neck of the woods, but I mean in all reality, I'm like, I do. This is where my home is at. This is where my business might be within the sticker. I want to hear more what's happening here. I will have faith in whoever's in leadership, and hopefully they can do the right thing. It's interesting. I mean, if it ain't broke, why fix it? I mean, one side, those who are vote for the 10-1, they're saying that it brought in the most diversity, which it did, and the youngest folks in council, which is great. You want to have that representation. the 731 is more in favor of bringing in people with money and just more power. In all honesty, Conrad, I see the good on both. I'm 50-50 with it in all honesty, because at the end of the day, people, you have to get out there and vote. Like, you have to get out there and vote. To say that yes, vote, elections cost money, but I will say this. Sometimes, and Conrad, I know you probably might disagree with me on this one. Sometimes I would say it doesn't always need money to win an election. There could be somebody that can bring a lot of noise that doesn't raise the most money that can win an election. I just think the matter is, people got to get the message out. Whether and I guess that will rely on ads, but sometimes just you have to find other avenues. You have to, grassroots is still very much alive and well. Now, do they win elections a lot? That will be determined.
Last topic would be state of Florida, the America of the states. And recently in the news, they've had, I think Ron DeSantis did a news conference where he said the gun sales are going to be going forward, I think, through December with the sales tax holiday. And I heard about that on the day Charlie Kirk was assassinated. And also the fact that they made the news because they are like the first state in many, 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 many years to have their leader of their health services, Surgeon General, say that vaccine mandates for public schools, and not just COVID vaccine, but all vaccines, are eliminated. And to me, that just, I'm like, well, I don't know if I want to go see the Daytona 500 next year in person, because that would be in Florida. What are your thoughts?
That, I mean, what a very, and I'm no physician, man, but I think that is extremely dangerous and careless thing to do. I think that this Florida Surgeon General, I believe his name is Joseph Ladapo. He became a household name during the pandemic year because he was so anti-vaccine this, vaccine that. And, when we had the lockdowns, there was one state that was still open, and that was Florida. They made this kind of money by, still having all the events and this and keeping things open. The thing what I think is very careless and stupid is that this Florida Surgeon General is doing this based on no data, like none, like not even a little bit. No, it's based off like, oh, I mean, who wants to be forced to, to do this and X, Y, and Z? And it's a form of slavery, and this and the other. To me, he is making his role all political. He wants to stay in power in his position. He wants to, continue to bend the knee to those. And because at the end of the day, look, the state of Florida, that's Trump's country. That is Trump's country. And so he's going to do all he can to please his fearless leaders. And that's exactly what this Florida Surgeon General is doing. He has not had any response. Like, I mean, there's countless of physicians, Conrad, that are conservative and that are Democrat that do not agree with this because it is risky. When you look at schools, because the law that they did was they were ending required vaccines for all schools. Schools are some of the most germaphobe areas in out there, right? That's where they spread. The kids are locked up in rooms like a bunch of, like, it's crazy. It really is. He's just doing what he can to stay in power and to keep his position, but it's a careless act. It's an extremely careless act of what he's doing, and so he's a joke to a lot of folks in the medical field, and that's just a fact. I mean, again, folks on both sides of the aisle has shared why this is not the case and not a smart thing to do.
Well, I guess the last thing to do is have the SchezzWho viewers know a little bit more about what you do and what you say and where you say it at and where to follow you at. So just say everything that you can about what makes Arrington Gavin great.
Oh, wow. Well, I don't look at myself as great, man. I'm just a kid that likes to have fun and have conversation with folks, man. I think this world is missing the key thing, and that is conversation. the Arrington Gavin Show. I speak on politics, pop culture, sports, you name it. I bring on folks like my good friend Conrad Schesventer and folks on the opposite aisle of things. Like, look, I'm an independent, so I've had the honor of having folks on the right, folks on the left, and we have great conversations, whether we agree or disagree. It's all about having great conversations. We don't debate. We speak on issues and we share out of respect of, hey, we lean more this way, we lean more that way, and we keep it moving. And so we also have a lot of fun doing it. And we want to keep our folks, our listeners informed too. So we speak on federal politics, state politics, politics in Washington, as well as on a local level, because look, it all starts on a local level, and that's more important because that's what goes on in your backyard. So be sure to tune in to the show. I air weeknights, available on all digital and streaming platforms, as well as on a couple of radio affiliates as well. And so, yeah, I don't shut up. Basically, that's what I do for a living. I do not shut up, Conrad.
And it's quite entertaining to listen to you not shutting up. So I will encourage my viewers just as much to subscribe to me, subscribe to you, and have both of our platforms grow, just like I want the Dissent Agenda to grow, and of course the Black Swan podcast That's on right. Spotify to grow as well. Everyone go follow all of that and have a great night, and pleasure chatting with you again, Mr. Arrington. Sir, you have a great night.
You do the same, Conrad.